Thank you, everyone. Okay, so we take one more minute and then we start the session. training support material also I have created is all for free. So all of you can utilize this with no charge, obviously, because it's a public platform. So it is available to you, where you can have SAP tables, and here you can see different SAP tables which you can see, and in these tables which you can see here, tables for PP and SD, MMFI. We put a list of transactions here as well. I put some advanced topic: how do you work on EDI, idocs, testing, user exits, baddies, data transfer, system landscape, solution manager, Fury, different SAP methodologies. So we put all that. Then there are different SAP modules, information, various blogs, various videos. So all that information is available uh, on our website. Okay. So this is available to all of you for free. If you don't fail, you are not even trying. So if you are failing, that is a good news. If you are struggling, that is the
Hi,
good
Thing
news.
3. The person you've
Failure is
reached
good.
is currently unavailable. Please speak clearly. Your
My
voicemail is
background,
being
I've been doing
transcribed
SAP
by
since
email.
1998. I'm a US citizen. I live in US since 2001, 25 years now. I work with IBM. I was associate partner with IBM. I was senior director with Accenture and Capgemini. I don't work any now. After working for many, many, many years, I focus only on my students. Couple of important things. SAP server access. Every student will get a SAP server access for 1 year. 1 year SAP server access. Each one of you will get. Re-attending the class. Everyone can re-attend my class for 1 year, no charge. It's not just one time. You can attend again and again and again and again for 1 year if you want to. Training material. I will cover SAP certification material. And what we're going to cover, I'm going to talk about that also. Class will always be start at 8 a.m. EST, and whatever other time in other countries are, you can basically make a note of time as per your country. So if you are, for example, um, in India, then the time for you would be uh, 6:30, and then wherever you have joined, whatever country you have joined, you can check your time. So I will always be starting 8 a.m. Now there is one very interesting thing. I will never be late. Never, ever, ever. So because of that, um, so that basically means I will never be late. If I cannot do any class, we will inform. Okay. So I will never, ever, ever be late. I will always be on time. Okay. Now, what is we are learning? So when we are learning SAP
Recording
MM
stopped.
module, what is our goal?
Your message has reached
Or
the
any module for that
maximum.
matter, what
Re-record.
is the goal? The goal basically means is learning three things. Number one, we are learning what is in the box. Okay. So SAP is a globally used SAP software. 80%, 90% of this company use SAP. So that is the first thing we learn, what is in the box. So 80%, 90% time in the real world, all standard SAP provided transactions, all SAP provided functions would be used. The second thing we learn is the configuration, which is the process of parameterization. So SAP is parameterized, and so that basically means you can do the configuration as required. Then we also have here the gaps. Third thing. question. There's a question section, and you can utilize any questions as you want. Practice, practice, practice. Read, read, read. Class invite. Every class invite will be sent to you by Monday, latest by Tuesday. We will never, ever, ever be late beyond Tuesday. So sometime when we send email, it end up going to spam. If you don't get invite by Wednesday, email us and we will resend. Create folder in Gmail or for the video link. So make sure that you have created a video link. Okay. SAP login. So everyone will have access to SAP for 1 year time frame. Each one of you. Then we will send SAP GUI and VPN information via email after registration process is done. And then you can access SAP. There are some steps, and what are the steps for that? So there is a download SAP GUI. So please make sure that SAP GUI is downloaded. Install SAP GUI, and there is also process of setup VPN. And please make sure that VPN is also being set up. And then you can use your ID and password. You can log into SAP. There are two prerequisites for login to SAP: connected to VPN, connected to internet. Okay, so these were some of the process protocols I wanted to tell you all, because this is a first class and new class. And so now coming back, who we have in the class today. So we have in the class Mariama, Bediong, Ashu, Aryan, Hussein, Srinivas, Gaurav, Stevia, Akshay, David, Manideep, Satina, Jay, Nalam, Kumar, Joseph, Nupur, Usman, Pradeep, Srishti, Anil, Prathamesh, Naga, Salendra, Ankit, Amit, Ola Bode, Anil, Anmol, and Gurmeet Singh. So now, this is our first PDF. Okay, this is our first PDF. This will focus in the customization related to general ledger accounting, account receivable, and account payable. This is SAP's own certification training material. So the material which I'm covering is basically related to SAP certification. If you see the SAP logo and all that. Now, in this topic, what we're going to learn? So what is the course curriculum of this PDF? Now, apart from this PDF, we have other PDFs also. This is our first PDF. So this first PDF is for about 500 pages, and we will go to each unit and each chapter one by one. So the flow is we go to unit 1, then unit 2, unit 3, unit 4, and then we go sequentially. Now, what is the agenda and what is covered in each of these units? Okay. So here in each of the unit, we have a basic setting. Now, what is covered as a part of basic setting? And so that basically tells us we're going to talk about organization unit. So that is what we will be discussing today. What is the organization unit? We'll talk about what is the variant principle. We'll talk about a fiscal year. We'll talk about currencies. In the unit number two, we can talk about various master data. In the master data, we're going to talk about the general master data. We'll talk about the customer master data. We will talk about the vendor master data and the configuration for them. We'll discuss and configure and talk about bank master data. Unit number 3 is basically about document control. So what is the configuration and structure for the configuration of a document? So we will discuss and we will talk about that also. So here in the document control, we will discuss and talk about what is the document structure. So how the structure of the document works, so we'll discuss and talk about that. Then we'll talk about the posting periods. So there is a posting period variant. So we'll discuss and talk about the posting period and the configuration of posting period. So we'll discuss that as well. Okay. Now we also have posting authorizations. So we'll discuss and talk about posting authorization. So we'll discuss and talk about that also. We'll also discuss the configuration of various simple documents which you can do in SAP Finance. For example, you can do the documents like company code and business area, and the various documents like a custom invoice, vendor invoice, credit memo, debit memo, incoming payment, outgoing payment, and many, many more. So all those different documents we will be discussing and we will be talking about. Okay. Then we'll talk about unit number 4, which is posting control. In the posting control, we will talk about default values. So how will the system create the default values? Then we'll talk about basically the change control. So there is a process of configuration and the rules and design for change control in the financial document. We'll talk about those change control. Document reversal. So how can we do the document reversal? How can we configure payment term and cash discount? Because for business partners like customers and vendors and others, there is always an applicable payment term. So how can we work on those payment terms and cash discount? Then we can also discuss and talk about taxation. So taxation is a legal requirement. So how does the taxation works in SAP? So we'll discuss and talk about these taxation exercises. Then we can also have various cross-company code transactions. Cross-company code transaction. This is also called intercompany transactions. So in the real world, you always have multiple legal entities. You have Pepsi US, you have Pepsi Canada. How can we do the transaction between them? That is called intercompany transactions, and those are the transactions which we will be discussing and exercises we will be discussing in this chapter. Then we have a unit number 5 in the chapter on the clearing. So once we post a document, how do we clear them? So there are different processes and different protocol and different functions to perform the clearing documentation. How do we do that? The one is the clearing the open items. So we can define the open items. You can also post incoming payment and also outgoing payment. So how can we make incoming payment and outgoing payment? So we can discuss and talk about that also, incoming payment and outgoing payment as well. Then there is a payment differences. If a customer making a payment, if there is a difference in the payment term, so how can you make a difference or posting to the payment difference. How do you handle the and that basically means we have here other and payment differences. How do you handle the exchange rates? Then there is whole chapter on the cash journal. So in SAP, there is a cash journal, and then we'll discuss and talk about what is the cash journal which we can do in SAP space. Okay. So that basically means this comes into the picture where we can define different transactions. Now, in the cash journal, we will discuss and talk about cash journal configuration. So how do we do the configuration of cash journal? How do we do the cash journal transactions? In the last chapter, in the unit number 7, we will also discuss and talk about logistic journal, where we can do different logistic transactions. Now, logistic transaction topic is important because here you can basically integrate all these different functions related to logistic, like sales module, like purchase module, like inventory module. How do you do the integration with them? How do you integrate SAP to the procurement cycle or per module? How do you integrate finance between the sales module or SD module? So we'll talk about all those different transactions and all this, and that is the unit number 7. So this is our first PDF, and that is what basically we will be going through, and chapter by chapter. There are 500 pages in this PDF, and after that we have other PDF as well. So let's go into the unit number 1. Okay. The unit number 1 is basic setting, and then in the basic setting, what we will be discussing. So in this, basically, we will be discussing and talking about what is the company code, fiscal year, and currencies and variant principle. Now the first unit is organization units. Now what is the organization unit? Make a note of it. Organization unit. Organization unit. Keep making notes, whatever I've been typing here. Organization units. So organization units represents internal structure of company from legal and organization perspective. Okay. Make a note of it. From the legal and organization perspective. So here we have in organization structure, what is the organization structure in SAP from the finance perspective. Now look at this picture very carefully. The first and foremost, we have a client, then we have company code, and then we have business area. Client, company code, business area. Now let us talk about this. So organization, sometimes it is also called organization structure, enterprise elements, organization data, enterprise element, enterprise structure. So these are the different name of the same thing from finance perspective. From finance perspective. Okay. So we have here, make a note, client, company code, and business area. Now, what are each of them? What are each of them? So when we log into SAP, so we see here, so this is something called SAP Logon Pad. So we see that this is the SAP Logon Pad. And when you click on this SAP Logon Pad, you need to be connected to VPN. So I'm connected to VPN. I'm connected here with the SAP Finance. And then we click Logon Pad here. And the very first thing you see here is client. So when you log into SAP, the very first field which we are select is client. So here we have a client. Now what is client? So client is a 3-digit key Client represents a database. Represents a database. Represents a database with its own tables, okay. We can have many databases for various regions. Okay. For various regions. For example, you can have a production database. We can have a testing or QA database. This is also called system landscape. This is also called SAP system landscape. Production database, testing database, and development database. Now, what is the purpose of production database? Production database is used for the purpose of production activities. Okay. Production activity. So when the production people, the business users, are doing their business transactions in a production database. In production database. And the testing QA is used for the purpose of testing of configuration. So when you do the testing, you do the testing environment. Then development database is used for various development activities. Development activities like configuration and programming. So when programmer is writing a program, where do they write? They write that in the development database, and from the development database, it goes to testing database, and for the testing database, it goes to the testing database. How the migration happens? So the flow is as below. So here we have a development database, development client, and then development client, it goes to testing or QA client, and from the testing and QA client, it goes to production. So when you're doing the configuration, you do configuration in the development client, and from development client, it goes to QA client, and from the QA client, it goes to production client. 3-digit could be alphanumeric. And these alpha numbers could be whatever. So when you log into SAP, the very first thing which comes in the client is 800. Now 800 is just a number. It could be 800 or 500 or 100 or whatever. So number has no meaning. Number could be whatever as per the nomenclature. But it's a 3-digit key. It doesn't need to be all numbers. It could be alphas also. And it could be alphanumeric also. So all the three possibilities are there. Okay. 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 So make a note of it. So this is the client, 800. Now then what you do? You put your pass ID. So each one of you will have your ID and password after you've done the registration process. And then we go to login, and then we log in. Now you log into SAP. So this is how SAP screen look like. Okay. So this is the SAP Easy Access. That is what we will see. Now you also have something called company code. 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000. Now what is this company code basically means? Now this company code is the mandatory organization unit. So now let us talk about the definition of these organization units in SAP perspective. Okay. So here we have a company code. So the second data, make a note of these definitions because these definitions are important definitions. So company code is a 4-digit key. Okay. Is a 4-digit key. Hence, we can have many company codes. So as many company code we want, we can have. Is a 4-digit alphanumeric key. It represents a legal entity. It represents a legal entity. It is used for external reporting. Balance sheet and trial balance or P&L is created for a company code. Okay. Legal entity basically means and is also mandatory. Mandatory. No financial transaction, no financial transaction are no financial transactions can be posted without company code. Okay. Cannot be posted without company code. It's mandatory. Excel reporting basically means, for example, government, tax authorities, banks, etc. So ultimately, every company is registered with the government, is a legal entity. It has certain obligations, and those things are being created and defined at a company code level. Okay. Mandatory. Legal entity, example, So let's say we take example of Pepsi. It means it could be any example. So let's say Pepsi US, Pepsi Canada, Pepsi Germany, etc. So now Pepsi exists in many countries. Pepsi US, Pepsi Canada, Pepsi Germany, Pepsi Japan, Pepsi China. It's all part of the same company called Pepsi, but they are separate legal entity. That is why the word here is legal entity. So Pepsi US report to government, US government. Pepsi Canada report to Canadian government. Pepsi China report to Chinese government. Pepsi Japan report to Japanese government. Okay. Make a note of that. And it's mandatory. That's why it's called external reporting. Mandatory basically means that you cannot create any financial transaction in SAP without having a company code. We must have a company code. Every transaction is posted for a company code. We will be configuring our own company code also. So let me explain. We will be configuring our own company code. But not today. But not today. But not today. By design. I will not be configuring company code today. In the next class, I will be. Next class, I will be. The reason for that is because this is our first class. So I want to do definitions. I want to talk about concepts, and I want to talk about various other elements in SAP. Okay. So no configuration today, but the next class, we will do. Next class we will do. Now make a note of the business area. So if we see here, there is a business area. Now, if I go to accounting, say financial accounting, general ledger. So here we have a general ledger accounting, account payable, account receivable, bank accounting, fixed asset, and other functions. So if I want to go to general ledger, and in the general ledger, if I want to post a general ledger or GL transaction, what we have here is company code, and we test it to the company code. Now, if you want to do a company code, and we can choose the company code we want. And there are so many company code. You see this 1000, 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000. So here we have so many company code, 1000. Okay. Then we have a 2000. Then we have a 3. And then we have a 5000. for Japan, Singapore, Denmark, Lithuania, Norway, Finland. And in the bottom, if we see, there are all these custom. You see this, all these custom, all these Z's and Y's, these are all custom transactions. We will be creating our own transaction as well. We will be configuring our own company as well. Okay. So these are various configuration of organization which has been configured by different people, and we will be configuring our own company. Many company code we can do. Then we have business area. Business area is basically is a 4-digit key. Okay. It is, what is business area? So business area is a subdivision of company code into different business units. Now, what is the example of it? So, for example, Pepsi US has, has a food division, has a beverage division, has a electronic division, etc. So within the Pepsi, you can have all these different business areas. That is what this basically means. Okay. That is the business area. Now, a couple of things. It is optional. So that basically means we can have it if we want to, or we can choose not to have it if we don't want to. So it is not mandatory to have these organization units. It's not mandatory. In the business area, is used for internal reporting. So company code is used for external reporting, and business area is used for internal reporting. Because within the company, you will like to know that how internally this division is doing versus that division. How is my food division doing versus beverage division versus electronic division versus other division. Make a note of these definitions. These are the definitions which is given here as well. I have written down my own definitions. What is company code? What is business area? Then how do we create a company code? So we want to configure our own company code. And that we will configure in the next class, as I mentioned. Now I want to do certain exercises today. Okay. So what we want to do exercise. So I want to do our AR cycle. Okay. I want to do my AP cycle. I want to do my GL cycle. 3 cycles I want to do today. Okay. So in AR cycle, what I want to do here is I want to post a customer invoice. Now these transactions are very important, and then you must do all these transactions over and over and over. You post with the transaction code FB70. All transactions in SAP can be executed by a transaction code. So for example, if I go to account receivable, document entry, this is account receivable and this is FB70. Now what is FB70? Click onto it. This is where you enter customer invoice, Now, how can we enter here is, so option one is we go to this menu path, click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or I can type my transaction code in the command box. So this is the counter. We reach to the same place. So transaction codes are like a 4-digit or 5-digit shortcut to basically reach to the posting of transaction. Now, if you want to do a custom invoice, and please make sure that you're doing these exercises over and over and over and over multiple times. So that basically means we can have and here we have, you can enter your customer invoice. Now this is how the customer invoice screen look like. Transaction code FB70. We are entering for the company code 1000, and here we can choose that which company code we are doing. 1000 is a standard transaction code. And here this is the menu path, FB70. If you go to FB70, and the very first thing you do, you select the customer. We will also learn how to create a customer. We have a whole exercise on customer. Okay. We have a whole exercise on customer. Okay. So we have a whole exercise on customer. So here we can select a customer for company code 1000. We can put a search term, and we have all these different customers, and we will also be using and creating our own customer as well. So let us say I choose one of the customer. So this is the customer we selected. So we are doing for customer number this. And we will also learn how to create a customer. We have a whole chapter on customer. So this is a customer. Which date we are doing? So we can select the date. How much amount we are posting? So let's say we are posting for amount 1000. Okay. Then this is the basically the entering to the customer, and then there has to be a subsequent entry. And then here we can select which account we want to credit, and $1,000. Hit enter. So if you see here, then we got a green light. Green light basically means balance is zero. So this $1,000 debit and $1,000 credit, it matches and balance becomes zero. If this balance is not zero, you cannot post it. You can only post if this balance is zero. And then we hit save button. See the message in the bottom. Okay. And here we have a document 180005 was posted in company code 1000. Okay. So we have done our first exercise. Okay. And then if you want to see this document, we can go to display document. We make a note of this. And then we can display document. Display document transaction code is FBG3. Okay. Now if you want to exit out, exit out, exit out. And here we go to document also. And if you can go FB03 here as well. I put my document number, I put my company code, I put my fiscal year. So here we have a document number. So this is document number posted. Look at here. So document number 18005, company code 1000, fiscal year 2026. On this date, this is the posting date, period is 2, in this currency, for this customer, debit, this account, credit. So we have created our whole end-to-end transaction. And that is where we can see. Now I want to do another exercise, which is verify customer balances. Verify customer balances, which is transaction code FD10N. FD10. So we go for, we exit from here. So there's a back button. We click on it. We go to account, and we have a display balances FD10N. FD10N. And we go to FD10N. We click onto it. This is we select the customer we want. So the customer we want is 100367. 100367. Okay. So this is the customer number. And then we can basically, and this customer in this company code in this fiscal year. So that is basically what do we see as far as the transaction is concerned. We select the customer, we hit execute, and then we can see that this is the total balance in this customer. If we double click on this balance, these are the 3 invoices. These are some of the invoices. This is the one which is posted on February 7th. In February 7th, $1,000 document was posted, and these are the other document which has been posted in certain dates. Okay. This is the customer balances. Now similarly, I want to go to, so we look at year cycle. I want to do the AP cycle as well. Same steps on AP side. Post a vendor invoice. And this is our first exercises. You have to log into SAP and do this exercise over and over and over so you can get a feel of the system. You can do these foundational transactions. So now we go to account payable, go to document entry. We go to invoice here. So we go to MB60. Now same thing, we select the vendor here. Same steps, what we did before, but now it is on side of vendor. Okay. So we did on the side of customer. Now we did on the side of vendor. So we can select the vendor. So we select one of the vendor. So for example, we select this vendor. We make a note of this vendor. This is the vendor number. Okay. We select the date. We want to do it on this date. We select the amount, so $1,000. We select the GL account. There's a debit, there's a credit. Hit enter. So this amount matching. We got a green light and we can save it. So we have done another exercise. We are able to post a document. Then we go to account. We go to display. And this is the document we have done. So this is the display document. And document basically is this. Transaction code FB03. We want to verify vendor balances. Okay. FK10. So now we go back here and we click on it, exit out, exit, and then we can go to our account, FK10N. We select the vendor, and the vendor here is 1000564, 1000564, and we can select account for that. So for this vendor, in this company code, in this fiscal year, what is our posting is. So we have done customer cycle, beating the vendor cycle. We see the vendor balances, and that is what we have here, and we hit execute. And here we have a $2,000. If we click onto it, now here we have this is the one document, and this is $1,000, which is posted on 2nd of July. This is another document which is posted on 7th of February. This is posted on 3rd of February. This is the vendor balances. Now we want to see the GL account also. So in the GL account, I want to post a GL general ledger. Post a GL account. Transaction code FB50. And verify. All these transactions, basically, you have to do multiple times. Log into SAP, set up the system, and then do these exercises over and over and over, multiple times. So here we have a exit out, exit out, exit out, and here posting for traveling. So it's a direct journal entry. So we can select account, we want to credit and debit. So we want to credit this account. Okay. And then we want to debit this account. Okay. And then we save it. So we did another exercise. And this is the document number. And this is the document number. That is the document. So that is basically some of the exercise we did today. So we have a few more minutes. If you have any questions and all that, whatever we discussed so far, first of all, thank you everyone. So who we have on the class today? So we have Marima, Bedam, Ashu, Aryan, Hussein, Srinivas, Gaurav, Stevia, Akshay, David, Manideep, Sadina, Jay, Nalam, Kumar, Joseph, Nupur, Usman, Pradeep, Srishti, Anil, Pradeep, Prathamesh, Naga, Sailendra, Ankit, Amit, Oladobe, Anil, Amol, Gurmeet, Pavan, John, and Maurice. So thank you everyone. If you guys have any questions, please do let me know. We'll okay. Tomorrow there's no class because I have some personal work. So we'll do the class next Saturday. Please make sure that you do all exercises. In between you practice. In between you log into the system. In between you are able to do all exercises in the system. Okay. Any questions before we take a break? Okay. If there is no question, then I think we are done for today. You have my number, you my email address, which I give it to you. Email it to me anytime. WhatsApp me, text message me, and if you're outside of US, then you can also WhatsApp me as well. So with that, thank you, and I really appreciate you coming and joining to this session. Have a great day. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, everyone.